Hello guys, in today's video I'm going to be going back and giving you guys basically a rundown of what happened the day that little Tic Tac was born. Obviously this video is running like a little bit late because she is now 3 months old, but basically I just had so much footage, I've got a ridiculous amount of footage from like those first, the birth and the first few days of her life. Literal hours of footage. So that is why it's taken me so long to sort through all of that to bring this video to you guys now 3 months later. But I also thought it would be fun to now look back and see just how, I can't even describe how tiny she was when she was born. Like, I actually started to tear up when I was looking back at this footage because she's so unbelievably small. Like, it's insane seeing the difference between what she is now, Mrs. Chunky, compared to when she was born. So I thought this would be a really fun video. Of course, if you want to see more of little baby Tic Tac and my other two horses, Fletch and Peach, her mum, then you can follow us on Instagram at hand.equestrian. This will be a story time style video, so I highly encourage you to grab maybe a drink or a snack, just relax, enjoy yourself, and I'll tell you about the day that Tic Tac was born and a little bit about the few days after that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that most of you guys watching right now also watched the surprise my horse is pregnant video. And in that video you probably saw that there was a lot of prep that sort of went in behind the scenes when we found out that Tic Tac was going to be arriving shortly, and that included getting the stables ready, getting a birthing paddock ready, etc, etc. We also spent a bit of time getting Peach used to the idea of being in a stable. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think she's ever been stabled in her entire life. She's had shelters in her paddock. So I was slightly nervous that she might not be super settled, as it would be her first time kind of spending an extended period in one. So we started doing some training where every day I would bring her into the stable and I would feed her in there and groom her, so that it was just a super positive experience, and to show her that it was nothing to be too concerned about, which honestly went quite well. As you guys will now know, Peach was very easy to stable. Obviously in an ideal world I would have just kept Peach in the stable overnight to get her used to it, but the vet was pretty adamant that because she was such a young horse and it was her first ever foal, not to put her in the stable to have her first birth, because apparently some horses can get themselves into trouble. They place themselves too close up to a wall or something like that. So I obviously didn't want anything like that to happen, so we decided a paddock birth would be the way to go. So that is why, yeah, she was just going in and out at dinner time. And you guys also would have seen that she had a false labour, which also was at the end of that video. So I'm going to basically pick up from that point. On the Thursday afternoon, that was when the false labour occurred. Now generally when a horse has a false labour, then you would expect them to usually have the foal maybe 1 to 2 days after this, because generally it means you're pretty close. But no, Peach really stretched it out. So we ended up waiting another 4 days before she actually had Tic Tac. So as you can imagine, those 4 days I barely slept, like barely slept at all, because every 2 seconds I thought it was going to happen. Sunday night was when she waxed up for the first time, and often a sign that you're a day out from foaling is that the colostrum will start to seep out, and it seeps out as sort of like a waxy substance. So that's generally a really good sign that the foal is imminent, like within 24 hours it's going to be here. We felt pretty confident that the little baby was going to be arriving probably Sunday night, early Monday morning, because mares do tend to foal in the middle of the night. So annoyingly, the day she had the false labour was actually a beautiful sunny day, and all that week had been super sunny, like just beautiful weather, like really uncharacteristic for that time of year. And I was just crossing my fingers the whole time thinking, if you have the foal now, it'd literally be perfect. And then of course, when we thought the foal must be on its way, there was a huge storm coming. So the weather was disgusting. All day Sunday night, and then early Monday morning, the middle of the night, we were checking on Peach constantly for signs that she might be going into labour, because we could tell she was really close. But it came to, I think, 4 AM and I'd gotten up to go and check on her, and I was also going to feed her because I needed to go to work that day. So I went out with her feed bucket, and she was, as usual, like every other morning, was super keen for her feed. And was like pushing me over to get to it, and was eating it like perfectly normal. But what I did notice is that she was starting to squirt milk from her teats. And this generally is not a great thing, because it means the mare's starting to lose the colostrum milk. So the waxing up is fine, but you don't want them to be spraying milk, and you want the foal to get as much as possible for their own immunity and for their own health. Obviously you guys saw her false labour. She was acting like she was in so much pain. She was kicking, swishing, super uncomfortable. She was perfectly normal this morning, her normal self, eating food. So I thought, all right, I'm going to drive home and I'm gonna go and grab my baby bottles because it's recommended if the mare is squirting milk, you should try and collect it. And then I was gonna call the vet and just see what her thoughts were. So I checked Peach at about 4 a.m. I think I left her at about 4:30, 4:45, like it was just before 5 a.m. To go back home. Everything was still fine. At about 5:30, like it was like 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, and I get a call from my boyfriend, and he literally goes, "You have to get here right now. Like Peach has had the foal." And I was like, "Oh, is she in labor?" And he's like, "No, she's had the foal. Has it just come out? Like the foal, oh my God, it's been born." And he goes, "No, there's a foal standing in the actual paddock." So somehow from the time I left, in literally the space of not even an hour, Peach somehow managed to go into proper labor, have Tic Tac, and Tic Tac was already on her feet and standing and walking around. And I can't even describe to you guys, I put so much prep into getting ready to like watch the birth and be ready to make sure that nothing went wrong. I knew all my timing, I knew what it was gonna look like, I was like YouTubing stuff, like I could not have read more. And after all of that, your girl misses it. The adrenaline surge I had after that phone call was like insane. So I jumped in my car, and I don't think I've ever driven so fast in my life. When I got there, Peach had actually had Tic Tac under what we now call the birthing tree, which is the tree in their current paddock. And when I got there, I just saw this like amazing little creature that was just like mincing around Peach, and Peach was just, she looked like she was in shock. Like she was like, "Oh my God, this thing was inside me the whole time." The only downside was that we then had to try and find a way to get Peach from that tree. It's like quite far from our stables, probably like a 200-meter walk. We had to get them from there back into the stable. Originally we hadn't planned on having to do that, but there was a huge hailstorm coming. And by coming, I mean like it was coming. It was literally like 10 minutes away. Like, you know when you can see like the storm clouds coming off in the distance? So I just had that feeling of like, oh my God, we have to do it right now. So luckily Peach was amazing, and I managed to get a halter on her and basically lead her out of the paddock the whole way with Tic Tac literally probably have been standing for like, it couldn't have been more than like 15 minutes. And she literally, I wish I had this on film, but it was just too high pressure to try and like capture any of this because I just wanted to get them inside and get them warm. She literally was doing this like crazy little like mincy trot behind Peach and was just following us in, because I thought worst case scenario we could like carry her in, but I didn't want to because everything had just happened, and sometimes if you interfere too much with mum and bub, you're gonna break their bond. So I didn't want to like put myself all over her and try and carry her in. But luckily she was super smart and she just followed Peach straight in. And I really did feel a huge relief once we had them in the stable, because I felt like, okay, cool, now they're safe. I can kind of just step back, obviously in those first few hours, because it's a really important time for the mare and the foal to bond. So I really wanted to just take a step back and just let those two kind of like, you know, like meet for the first time properly. This is Mama Peach right now. Little baby is currently trying, as you can see, very hard to find the teat. She hasn't quite worked it out. You can see she's trying to nib at Peach. She's trying to find the teat. And Peach isn't really helping her out right now, so we're just waiting for her to work that out. She's working her way down. I think she's going to get it soon. For the next few hours, I was then essentially just doing my checklist of things to make sure that everything had gone correctly. Tic Tac had already stood up, so that was already number one, a really good sign, and she managed to walk herself 200 meters into the stables. So we're already feeling pretty confident that she was, on the surface of things, seemed like a healthy foal so far. The most frustrating thing to watch was waiting for her to try and nurse. Wow, that was really frustrating. You really have to fight the temptation to just go and like pick her up and like place her at the teat. I had to watch her literally like bite Peach's shoulder for about 10 minutes straight trying to find the teat. But again, like I didn't really want to interfere, and it was still in the normal time range of her trying to find the teat, and she was trying, so that was the important part. She just hadn't found it yet. And then when she did, she took a huge drink. Good girl, Peach. And then pretty much immediately fell into a heap and had a huge nap. And then the rest of the morning was essentially her getting up, drinking, getting down, napping, and that would happen like literally every 15 minutes. time for a little nap, hey? Peach has finally lied down to have a bit of a rest. Your baby's also having one too. We're doing double time resting right now. Oh, Peach, you're being such a good girl. You're doing so well. So obviously I was also on the phone to my vet and basically describing to her how everything had gone, and she was happy that everything was normal. But obviously I wanted to get them checked, particularly as Peach was also squirting milk at the beginning, which is not great. So my vet came out just after lunch and did the final check over, and she was really happy with everything. She was really happy with Tic Tac's confirmation, no issues or anything like that, as we suspected, like nothing had gone wrong. And she was really happy with how everything was looking, how Peach was going, which was also a big relief. So we got Peach some Butte, so she had some pain relief. We put her on that for a couple of days after the foaling, just to try and ease things for her, which I think really helped, and she really appreciated, I'm sure. And then Tic Tac also had her very first blood test, which honestly was so awful, but we had to do it because we were mildly nervous that if Peach had lost too much milk, that potentially Tic Tac might have suffered slightly. So I think they essentially test for like antibody levels. I could be misquoting that, but essentially to check that the FOAL's immunity levels are high enough and that they've gotten enough of their mother's first milk. So she did that test as well, and of course everything came back totally fine, so that was also a big relief. So then Peach and Tic Tac proceeded to spend, I think, the next 2 days in the stable. So the vet recommended that keeping them stabled up sometimes in the beginning is actually a good thing to do, so that's what we did. Peach took to the stabling very, very well, which I was quite surprised about, but I think honestly she was just very, very tired from the birth, and I think she just appreciated being in the nice toasty stable on a bed of straw and just getting tons of feed. I think that's what she needed at that point. What was funny is over those 2 days I obviously had to clean the stable up, but just around them, because I wasn't actually taking them out. And that is when Tic Tac's little sassy character started to appear, and she would come up and just like nibble me while I was trying to clean up after her. I know, Peach. She's very lively. This is day 3, and we're already trying to canter around the stable. I think she's gonna really enjoy being out in the paddock soon. Hey, little one. Hello. Hi. You're not letting your mum eat her breakfast. Oh my god, she's still so mini. She's like growing before our eyes though. Like, it's just insane how quickly they start to get a few extra centimeters. I can't believe she's actually real. You're here. She's so divine. I can't get over it. We're so lucky. Peach's face the whole time has just been like, oh my god, what have I done? Peach is very watchful. Anytime she can't see her immediately, she has to check. You're such a good mum. You make your faces back there, hey? On day 3, it was clear that both of them were progressing really well and they were perfectly happy and healthy, so it was time to let them have a run in the big paddock. I really didn't know how they were going to react. I knew that Peach was going to be quite concerned about where Tic Tac was going, because I could already tell she was quite a protective mum, in the sense that she always wanted to see where Tic Tac was. And to be honest, I really didn't know what to expect when we put them out in the paddock for the first time. It was only day 3 of Tic Tac's life, so she was still super tiny. And I thought maybe there'll be some walking and trotting, but nothing much more than that. And initially Tic Tac was pretty nervous. She was kind of like, oh, and like looking around and checking everything out, but staying very close to her mum. And then it was like something just switched in her brain and she was like, this is fine. Like, I love this. I'm gonna run. And she just took off at a canter, and poor Peach, I felt so bad for her because she was still in that phase of wanting to stick right to Tic Tac's side. And the minute Tic Tac ran, Peach was galloping after her, trying to stay with her. I just felt so bad for her. I'm like, she must still be feeling the aches and pains. And this little naughty foal is just running off on her. It's like when you've got that naughty little kid that like runs off on you at the supermarket or something like that. Luckily, the overly concerned Peach probably only lasted for like 1 to 2 weeks. And then by the 3rd week, she started to get better and she kind of relaxed and started to just enjoy herself in the paddock and actually eat grass. Because I was really worried for her. She wouldn't even eat grass at first because she was so intent on following Tic Tac. And obviously when they're feeding a foal, it's incredibly energy consuming, so we were feeding her so much to try and keep her weight on, but she really wasn't helping herself either because she just wouldn't eat enough grass either. But obviously, yes, both those things have changed. She now will let Tic Tac literally be on the other side of the paddock, and she has put on quite a bit of weight, which is really good to see. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I had a heap of fun actually editing it because it was really nice looking back at all like the baby foal footage. I was like, oh my god, like emotions about how much she's grown in just 3 months. It's unbelievable. But yes, if you are enjoying watching myself and Tic Tac and Peach and Fletch, then you can follow us on Instagram at @hand.equestrian, and you can subscribe here for weekly videos. Bye guys. Hello.